For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Lots to talk about today. A few rants to go on. There's no celebrity guest joining us. It's just you and me, everybody. Send me an email if you agree, disagree, or just want to share your thoughts. If you want to call me a dick, I'm fine with that as well. My email address is live@jbonair.com. Live@jbonair.com. As a dog owner, as a parent to pets, I had a bit of a freak out. I have quite frequently. But when I first got a dog, it was a little bit more so. But you know they say that you can't believe everything you read on the internet? Well, what if you kind of do start to believe something and it puts you in a panic about your dog? I'll tell you what I mean coming up in just a little bit. Also, technology. I wrote a book called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. I have a thing against cell phones. I don't have mine with me all the time. In fact, actually, I don't even know where mine is right now. It's not in the room with me. It's somewhere. Maybe it's in my office. And people using their phones at concerts. You've seen it. You know you have. You've seen the videos on YouTube, and it's like, are you watching the concert through the phone or through your eyes because it's right in front of you? Some commentary about that, and also millennials and the workplace. Do dress codes at work affect whether you work at a place or not? And the attitudes of millennials getting jobs. When you go to a job interview, is the employer the one who's wooing you, or is the employee the one who's wooing the employer? Or potential employer. Some thoughts on that coming up. We're going to take a break, and it all starts right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble again. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I say that all the time. I just want to beat it into your head that you should subscribe to this because it's really entertaining. As we say, 30 minutes of time-wasting fun every week. Now, something else that's really time-wasting is surfing the internet. I think you've all probably done it, and you've probably also surfed YouTube and all those other things that, in a world of fake news and you can't believe what you read or see or hear on the internet or on TV for that matter. Somebody was talking about their dog getting sick, and they usually live this age to this age, and so I was kind of like, my dogs are getting older. My golden retriever is 10 years old. He'll be 11 really soon, and so I just did a quick Google. Right, I did do a Google search to find out lifespan of golden retrievers or how long does a golden retriever live, and I read all these websites that say 10 to 12 years. Instantly, I go into panic mode thinking, oh my god, my dog is going to die within the next year. He's going to die. He's going to die. He is done. It's over. I should start, how am I going to cope? How am I going to get through this? I've got another dog. How's he going? He's going to be devastated. How do I fix this? And it was so weird how this train of thought took over. It completely took over. My heart was racing. I was like, oh my god, my dog is dying. Meanwhile, back at the house, as I like to say, my 10-year-old dog is still like a puppy and is wrestling for 45 minutes and, walking for 2 hours straight when we go some nights and is showing no signs of slowing down whatsoever. None whatsoever. But because I read on the internet 10 to 12 years, I'm convinced that this time next year, and maybe I'll even write this down to today's date, And if we're still doing this podcast, then I'm going to tell you, if I'm again, fingers crossed that he's still around. I mean, I'm making light of this, but it really does freak you out. And this is, what do they call it? It's a hypochondriac, somebody who believes they have every issue, right? Every illness, every whatever. That's kind of what I feel like. Oh my God, that's it. Meanwhile, I know that they say the average lifespan of a human is however many years, and there's people that live 30, 40 years past that. Now, I'm not delusional thinking that my dog is going to live to be 20 years old, but at least, I truly did think that I would have my dogs until I was about 40, and I'm 36 now, so I don't think that that's unreasonable. One dog is 10 and a half, and the other one is 7 and a half, so, golden retriever and a Labrador retriever, they're similar, so we'll see. And again, we walk all the time, and they're very energetic, and they play and they wrestle, and they do a good 45 minutes of tug-of-war when I come home, so anyway, yeah, I really don't know how to take that kind of stuff. And so then I also start going to other websites as well, because I was like, okay, well, the first one told me 10 to 12 years. I was basically trying to find one that gave me a larger lifespan. Well, no, that's not right. This one's 12 to 14. Oh, that's more believable. Let me see. There's one that's 14 to 16 now. Really? And I was like, this one also says 10 to 12. Yeah, no. Okay. Oh, yeah, no, this one's also 10 to 12. Well, then there's some consensus across the board, but I wasn't having it. I wasn't accepting that. I wanted to find one that's like, okay, and I found one of 15 websites that tells me it's 14 is the average lifespan. I'll take it. I'll take that. So, I don't know. Send me an email, tell me your thoughts, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble. Okay, I wrote that book called Put Down Your Damn Phone already. That was a few years ago, actually several years ago. And it was because people's obnoxious cell phone use is, well, quite frankly, obnoxious, right? That's why I did that. If you haven't checked out the book, I highly recommend it. You can get it on Amazon, iTunes, anywhere else, well, most places where you can download digital books or order them online or whatever it is. Now, I was at a concert recently, and there is a chapter about being at concerts and using your cell phone ridiculously, but for the most part, I was commenting about how people are videotaping or taking pictures of the concert while they're there. Now, everybody does this, right? You go to YouTube, and there's tons of pictures and videos from the last Beyonce concert or what have you. And back in the day, it was like forbidden, right? Like you weren't able to bring in a camera, you couldn't do anything. Well, now they can't really ban phones, although they do try, from what I understand now. Anyhow, my commentary was about people not enjoying the concert or the show that's right there in front of them. Adele actually had that. She called somebody out before because there was a guy videotaping her, and she's like, why don't you enjoy the show? You're like right here. I'm right here performing for you. I'm right here, sir. And so when I was at a concert the other day, same sort of a thing, though, was that somebody just kept texting and emailing. Now, we're not talking about taking out the phone and recording it and taking pictures. I'm just saying they were on their phone the whole time. So, do you use your phone when you're at a show? And it was a concert, so, you have barely a few seconds in between songs, right? When the lights go off or whatever. But for me, I'm so into the show that's happening, I might pull out the phone and, snap a picture the odd time, but I'm certainly not standing there recording the whole thing and watching the concert through my phone. What my point is that there was a guy beside me, or girl, well, two, actually, a guy and a girl, one beside, one in front of me, and we're constantly texting and emailing or whatever while they were at the concert. And I'm thinking that's sort of like what intermission is for, or it's like the show is 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. You can wait to reply to these things, right? And now again, it could have been an emergency, right? Who am I to judge? Who am I to say? I wasn't reading over their shoulders. But again, I'm sitting there going, you're texting back and forth with somebody during the concert. I don't know, you're just missing it at that point. You're missing it. Maybe if it's during a song that you don't like, okay, fine, right? If it's a song you don't like, you don't know, all right, okay. But, yeah, and, I mean, I guess it was distracting for me, because I almost wanted to nudge them and go, can you get into this? Can you get into the song and, stand up and clap or whatever, like everybody else is? Instead, I don't know, I can't decide whether I'd want them to be taping and videotaping and taking pictures, or if I would rather them text, or just, I don't know. What would you prefer? Would you prefer somebody getting in the way, holding up their phone, taking pictures and video, or would you rather be bothered by the glow of their phone and their head down and, not getting into it? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble, and again, thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Now, most people have a job, right? Adults have a job. So I've got a couple things to talk about now when it comes to workplaces. Dress codes, because if your workplace has a dress code, either you agree with it or you're absolutely against it. And I'll talk about that in just a second. And being a job reference for a coworker that you like. And on the flip side of that, being a job reference for a coworker you don't like. All right, so let's talk about dress codes. Now, I personally believe, and I wrote a column about this a few weeks ago, that especially with millennials and the younger generation getting into the workforce, it's now about comfort and convenience for the employee. Back in the day, when I was, 20 or however old I was, my first couple jobs, I remember I worked at Red Lobster when I was 16. I worked at Party City. I worked at a bunch of different places. And I remember going into those job interviews desperately wanting the interviewer or the boss, HR, whoever it was. I desperately wanted them to like me, right? I wanted to make a good impression. I was kissing their ass, basically. I was giving fake answers and smiles and making cheesy jokes, and right, you put up that front. You're there to impress them. Nowadays, fast forward, I haven't been looking for a job in a long time. I own this company, and I've done that for about 12 years now. But my cousin, who's 20-something, is going for job interviews, and he says it's a different mentality now. It's almost like the employer needs to be the one to impress you as the employee. And I thought that's so bizarre because, again, like, I want this job. And apparently now it's like, no. I'm doing you a favor by working for you is kind of the attitude that younger people have. I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying that that's sort of the attitude. So then I go onto company or corporate websites and I look at the career section and I see their hiring stuff. And sure enough, they're doing a song and dance. Like, these companies are throwing themselves at potential candidates or potential employees. Here's why it's so great to work with us. This is what we give you. This is how fun it is. There's the word culture now, right? It's not your working environment. It's called a culture. And so in having a fun, laid-back corporate culture, there's often dress codes. Now, again, with the younger generation, my cousin who's 20-something, now, of course, he's not going to go to work wearing pajama pants or sweats or whatever it is, but jeans is really not that unacceptable. Now, I realize it depends on what your job is. For instance, when I worked at a cell phone store back in the day, way back in the day, I had to wear a suit. I had to wear dress pants, a suit jacket, and a tie. And I thought, I'm not comfortable doing this. The job itself was sort of fun, because I worked in the daytime, so really you didn't have very many people coming in to ask about how to set up ringtones on their phone, because that's what it was back in the day. And, the odd person was coming in to pay their bill or whatever. So really, the staff, we just got to kind of sit around and talk all day, every day. But nevertheless, we had to have this formal dress code like we were going to weddings. And I thought, this is so bizarre because people, they're coming into a cell phone store to, learn how to download something. And again, this is before apps and everything. This was when cell phones were very, very basic. It just didn't seem right. And I wasn't comfortable. And ultimately, I left that job just because I thought, this is stupid. It's one thing if I'm working in a fine jewelry store or a really expensive car dealership, something like that. Okay, I get that. But really, wearing a 3-piece suit basically just to, have somebody upgrade their cell phone or make a payment on their cell phone bill, it just seemed very strange to me. And so nowadays, because cell phones have become more mainstream, I just think that it's a casual sort of a thing anyway. And again, even when I see a guy wearing a tie, I'm just like, cell phones are like a trendy, hip, cool product. Like, you just seem so uptight. And again, it reminds me of when I worked at Party City and I was an assistant manager and people would come in for a job interview, again, wearing a suit jacket and tie. And I look around going, we're hanging streamers and shooting silly string, and you're, again, dressed like you're selling insurance. Like, I was like, you got to kind of dress for the part. You got to dress for where you're going. I get that you want to make a good first impression. Sure, I get that. But why put that out there? Because you're not going to have to dress like this every day anyway. So, you can dress casually but still come off as professional. When I would go for a job interview, yes, I was trying to impress them, but I would never dress how I wouldn't dress how I wouldn't come into the office. So if I'm not going to wear a suit jacket and a tie every day, I'm not going to come to the job interview wearing that. I'm just not. If it's maybe khaki pants or I don't know, whatever, that's what I'm going to wear to the interview because that's what I'm comfortable in. And so when it comes to dress codes, the first thing that I can say is if you're in an office and you're not allowed to wear jeans, then I don't want to work for you. I wrote a column, like I said, that if you don't update your dress code and let people wear jeans, then you're done. You're not going to attract newer employees. And I had heard from somebody who previously worked in a call center, and this is, you're on the phone, right? Your client, your customer can't see you. But he told me that he was locked away on a third floor in a building. You wouldn't even know that there was a call center there, right? Like, it's just like a nondescript building. They're behind locked doors. The public never sees them. There's nothing front-facing where you're dealing with the public. But they still could not wear jeans. And they had to wear, from what it was described as, like really bright T-shirts that had like the company logo and then the slogan or the whatever it was about, like we're customers are number one or something to that effect, right? Their motto or their saying. And he said that they had to wear that shirt on Wednesdays and Fridays, and it was maddening because on Fridays you would see all the other people in offices, casually in jeans or whatever for Casual Friday, and here we are, we can't wear jeans, but we have to wear this god-awful shirt that's orange or pink or whatever the hell color it is, and it just made us uncomfortable. And so I've always been of that opinion. If I'm able to sit and like slouch in a sweatshirt and jeans or whatever, I'm comfortable, I'm going to focus on my work, I'm going to get into it. But if I'm having to wear tight dress pants and a jacket and whatever, that's not comfortable. Like, I'm just going to be miserable in every 5 minutes thinking about how uncomfortable and stupid this is. So, I don't know. I just think that a dress code needs to be updated, especially with today's younger workforce. So what do you think? And again, going on with that, I had previously written a column a couple summers ago, how guys get the short end of the stick when it comes to dress codes in the summertime. Women can often wear a dress or a skirt, but guys cannot wear shorts. And again, this is very common. And so I find it interesting where, again, we give you everything, we've got a great culture, we do this, we do that, but you can't dress comfortably and be relaxed in an environment that you feel normal in, really. So what do you think about this? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I'd love to know your thoughts on corporate dress codes. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like here, it's like, you can't see me, so you really have no idea what I'm wearing right now. But here's the deal. You can tell that I'm wearing something comfortable because I'm relaxed and I'm laid back and I'm at ease. But if I was having to wear something, okay, I've already beat this enough. Let's move on now. So with your coworkers then, when you're not bitching about your dress code, you often form relationships with the people around the office, right? Because as they always say, you spend more time with them than you do your own family. Now, what happens though when one of your coworkers, who is like your bestie, is like your BFF at the office, suddenly comes in and is like, I want to use you as a job reference. Can I use you as a reference? You feel obliged to say yes because they're your friend, right? And you're going to do them a solid. I'll help you out. Sure, no problem. But then it sinks in and you're like, wait a second. If I give you a good reference, that means that you're leaving us and I'm not going to have this camaraderie every day. So what do you do? Do you, obviously, or maybe you don't obviously say that you'll be the reference, but do you be the reference? Do you give them a good review in a sense? Do you give them a good reference? Or do you kind of sabotage it so you can keep working with them even longer? Send me an email, again, live@jbonair.com. Now, on the flip side of this, because this happened to me one time. What if you don't really either care for the person or you don't even really know them that well? So back in the day, you know what, like I said, when I was an assistant manager before, we had a lot of people. And out of the blue one day, I'm out walking my dogs, and I get this phone call, and the name looked familiar. So I was like, and you know what, and again, in my business, I know a lot of people, so to recognize the name, I was kind of like, okay, this is an okay call. If I don't know the name or number, I don't answer the phone. I'm one of those people. I'm a screener. And so I answer the call. Oh, hi, Jeremy, it's so-and-so. I'm like, oh, hi, right, because you know who it is because you see the name. I'm like, oh, hi, how's it going? Long time no talk. Yeah. So she makes conversation with me, and it was kind of like, oh, so what are you up to now? Da-da-da-da. And I was like, all right, okay, yeah. So I'm making the chit-chat. And then I'm sitting there going, cut to the chase. Like, why are you calling? What's the deal? I haven't heard from you. I don't know who you are, you know. Sorry, I pretended like I knew who she was. And so she then cut to the chase and said, you know, you remember that you gave me your number and said that I could use you as a job reference. Well, I've applied for this job and they want references. Can I use you? And blah, blah, blah. And again, because I'm put on the spot, I was like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. So she's like, yeah, great. You know, his name is so-and-so. You know, he might be calling you, you know, today or tomorrow, blah, blah. I was like, okay, sure, no problem. I'm still out walking the dogs, and then I get a call from a different area code, like across the country, and I answer it. And it's this guy, and he starts asking me all these questions, as they do when you're a job reference. And I couldn't even give specifics as to what she did, because I was like, was she a seasonal employee? Was she temporary? Why did she leave? She quit, I think. Like, she moved on to something else. She went to school, maybe? Like, I had no idea. And so again, like, I totally dodged. It's like I was a politician. I really wasn't answering the questions directly. And I said, you know, it was something like, well, did she have any struggles or were there any concerns? And I said, nothing jumps out at me as being a problem working with her. I can't give you an example because nothing jumps out right now that sticks in my mind as being like, oh, that's right, I remember she struggled with that. So what I'm going to tell you is she was a really good employee and she was reliable and I had no concerns and da-da-da-da. I really totally BS'd my way through it. And then I kind of started to think about it going, maybe she's just in touch with somebody that I know, and I didn't actually give her my number, but she knows somebody that we used to work with, right? She might have been friends, and was like, oh yeah, use Jeremy as a reference. He's good, you know, he's a reference for me. I don't know, but it was just very awkward. So I essentially lied my face off to this person to help somebody get a job interview. But again, so what if somebody asks you, you don't really care for them, maybe you haven't even really worked with them very much at the office, and they ask you to be a job reference. In that instance, you could easily go and say, sure, and then give them a bad review, right? You could easily say bad things about them because it doesn't come back to them, I wouldn't think, right? The employer is not going to call them back and go, well, you know what, Joe was telling me that you're not da-da-da-da, right? I don't think they would do that. I would hope they wouldn't. Watch my luck, that'll happen. So tell me your thoughts on this whole thing. So office dress codes and then also being a job reference for a coworker and what you think about that. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble, and again, thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, and a whole bunch of different apps, from what I understand. So it's interesting how, you see, this technology thing is all new to me. I'm just the voice of our company's broadcasts, our radio shows and podcasts, and come to find out, people say, well, no, I heard you on such and such app, or I found you here and I found you there. So thanks for tuning in no matter where you're listening. Okay. Now, when it comes to technology, we know that your devices need to be replaced, every other year, maybe? And that's usually an exciting time for most people. You know, when cell phones first came out, I think I was getting a new one, like, every year. And this is when phones were getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you didn't even necessarily need one, but you just got a new one because... And the features were, pretty much the same, right? Phones were kind of standard. You had that little green screen with the digital snake that goes around. You play that game where you don't hit your tail or whatever, and you could store 50 phone numbers in the phone. There was not really much text messaging. There was no internet on your phone for sure. And then you were maybe able to get MSN Messenger. This is how old I am. And so there was something exciting about getting a new phone all the time. Now, a lot of people still get really excited about a new device, right? Oh yeah, I'm getting a new phone tomorrow. Oh yeah. For me, a new phone, new computer, new whatever, I actually can't stand it. I really don't like it because that means that I've got to start everything all over again. I've got to start from scratch. Now, I'm a BlackBerry user, and I have been for many, many years, and it's not just because they have supported our company for quite a long time, and I get free phones from them. That's not the point. But it's like, you kind of have to get that groove again. It's like when you get a new couch, right? You don't have your butt groove, or you get a new mattress and you don't have that same spot anymore. And so with a computer, it's like, I dread it. And I might have the slowest computer possible. This is a true story. I actually still have a computer that's about 12 years old from my parents' house. I still use it at home for email and for basic, just basic functions, not anything extensive. But I still have my Outlook on there from however many years ago. It's still that gold version of Outlook, not the blue one that they have now with Microsoft Office. And I just don't like change. I just don't like making the shift because it's like, oh, I've got to where did I have those icons on the screen again? And, I've got to have the folders in the right order. Like, and now I've lost things and I don't know where they are. And it's the same thing with a phone. Now, again, thankfully with a BlackBerry, depending on how you're upgrading, it would be almost the exact same setup. You could easily transfer all of your stuff from one BlackBerry to another, and your settings are all the same. Everything moves over. But when you make that jump from, the whatever version to Android or whatever, you really do. You can take your contacts and certain things, but you got to set everything up all over again. And so with a computer, I have more than one computer at home. I've got, 2 desktop computers and a laptop. And the newer computer, strangely, is the one that's acting up. And you could be working for about 5 minutes and all of a sudden it's almost like you get a staticky picture like on a TV screen. You get like half of it goes black and then you can sort of still see the actual background of the whatever you were doing, program or the background of the desktop. And it's frozen and you can't do anything. And then you get that blue screen with the little smiley face or frown face on it. And then you've got to restart the computer. So you essentially lose everything. And you take that gamble of like, okay, well, I've got to just quickly do this and I'll try to get it before the computer shuts off. And I'm just that stubborn because I don't want to buy a new computer. And I realize the prices of computers have come down significantly since the last time I bought one. But again, it's just, and I know that upgrading is going to be cheaper. I'm going to have a faster computer. I'm going to have reliability. I'm going to have, all the new bells and whistles that my current computers don't have. But I just still have that reluctance. I still want to hang on to the settings that I have. I know where everything is. I don't have to go and reposition the desktop icons and everything like that. And I don't know if that's an OCD thing or what it is, but tell me if you agree. Do you agree, disagree? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. So really, we're 4 minutes into this segment now. At home, this is exactly what I would do. But I could potentially right now, just out of nowhere, at the 4 minute mark, the screen goes all fuzzy and then goes blue. And I would have lost the 4 minutes of work that I have just done of talking or typing or whatever I did. And there's been some nights where it's almost an hour. I have to stop working for an hour because of the computer restarting or me just trying to open the programs again, and then boom, it happens. And yeah, even that is not enough to make me go and say, okay, I want a new computer now. Yeah, I don't know. Live@jbonair.com if you want to chime in on this one. Do you like upgrading to new gadgets? And it's not even necessarily upgrading. For me, I guess it's more just kind of replacing is what it is. I do very basic stuff on my computer at home. I do, web surfing I do internet, like Googling or whatever. And then typing, word processing, email. And then the odd time I will tape radio show segments, so using just a basic computer. But I don't have games. I don't do anything like that on a computer, so I don't need one that's like souped up all the way to Timbuktu. I just need to do the basic functions. And I realize that, yeah, if I just invest, even if it's like $200 or $300, right? Computers are crazy cheap nowadays. That will alleviate the inconvenience that I have. But I'm just not willing to do it. I'm just not ready to go there. Again, live@jbonair.com. We're back on the Scribble right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. We're out of time. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. The email address is live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,